Welcome to the Women Inspire Aspire podcast. In this episode, we are talking to Dr. Anusha on medical field.
Hi, Dr. Anusha. Thank you for accepting my invite to appear in the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you for the invite. It's my pleasure to join you. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I have heard about you from one of my friends, and I know that you are a doctor. You run a clinic also. Other than that, I don't know anything about you. So let's go ahead and get started. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, your background, etc.?
Okay. I am Dr. Anusha K S. I am a gynecologist and obstetrician, a laparoscopic surgeon, and infertility specialist. I am currently an associate professor at Dr. Chandrama Dayanand Sagar Medical College. It's situated on Kanakpura Main Road, almost near Kanakpura, near Harahalli. So we cater to most of the rural area population there, and we also teach the medical students MBBS, and now we'll be getting our postgraduate students also there. So there I'm a basically teacher, and we treat the patients also. Apart from that, we are co-owners for one more hospital that is called as Zymus Hospital, that is there on the Kanakpura Main Road, just beside this Vajrali metro station. And I have my clinic that is called a South Mark Clinic, that's there in East Layout. So this is about my profession. So usually the patients that I see in my clinic, I take them to either delivery or surgery, or if required any procedure, to nearby hospitals where I'm a visiting consultant, like this Motherhood Banashankari and Cloud9 Kanakpura Road, apart from this Zymus Hospital.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So
Okay.
let us now hear about how you got into this profession at the first place. Can you share some moments from your college days or even school days which led you to think that you want to become a doctor and it's the profession that you love, and tell us about the journey.
Yeah, yeah, that is interesting actually. The thing is, I don't know, for whatever reason, from the time I remember, I always wanted to be a doctor. I can't particular point out to any reason. Maybe subconsciously I've seen somebody or whatever it is. I always wanted to be a doctor, and in my childhood, I had a toy which had this toy stethoscope and all. I used to play with it a lot. I got it in first place because I wanted it. So apart from that, I am the daughter of ISRO scientist. So my father was the project director of India's first army satellite and navy satellite. So he actually wanted to be a doctor himself. During admission for PUC, they had to choose their professions. So one of his professors, he just saw that he was very good at mathematics and physics, and he just asked him, "You'll be a better engineer, so just choose this." So maybe that was there in his mind. So he kind of forced my brother to join this medical profession. But when I was about to join, he had seen that it is really difficult. So we have to study for long hours, and we cannot exactly enjoy life, the student life, the college life, where other professional courses are usually easygoing compared to what we have to go through. It is never ending for the studying for us. We always have to keep ourselves updated, and we have to get multiple degrees to keep ourselves competent enough to treat our patients, because at the end of the day, we are dealing with lives of humans. So we have to be competent. Keeping all this in mind, my father did advise me. I had gotten a good rank where I was comfortably getting free seats, and I used to get very good seat in engineering colleges also. But I really wanted to join because it was my childhood dream. So that's how I joined, in spite of my father asking me, think about it, studying is not going to stop. It is a long journey. All your peers would have finished and they'll be earning. So you'll start earning only after 10 years. All those things, in spite of all that, I just wanted to be, and I joined. So that is how it started. And joining into this gynecology, I think that was something which I always didn't think myself to be. I definitely loved the subject. How the growth of the baby and the mechanism of delivery, all those things I was really fascinated about. So I have read this subject in my MBBS a lot, but I never saw myself as a gynecologist. But by the time I finished my internship and when I got a seat and all, I was interested. I'm doing justice to my job as much as possible. I dedicate myself. It is sad to say sometimes we do come across some unethical practices in today's life. Strive to treat my patients ethically. I hope I'll give my best till I'm there in this profession. Profession is really holy profession, because at the end of the day, we are treating somebody.
Right. That's wonderful and fascinating journey to hear about. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Now, I do have a question about the busy part of this profession. There is a lot of discussion going on in the social media about doctors not being able to spend quality time with their family. They're always busy, and also there are urgent operations and procedures
Mm.
that are involved, which they need to get involved with, because of which they are not able to spend time with their family, not being able to be there for the family, etc. There are some alternate views that are being expressed on this side and that side and all that. But
Mm.
what is your take on this? How do you spend quality time with the family? How do you balance your work and life?
This is a really apt question at present, especially with so many big IT people. We see them telling to work more number of hours a week, which is met with criticism. But we are forced to spend that much of time for our profession. It is true that sometimes it is really difficult for us to dedicate time for the family. But at the end of the day, I think we can do certain amount of planning also. And being doctors, I can definitely tell amongst all the specialities, the specialty that I have chosen, that is the obstetrics and gynecology, is the busiest subject, is the busiest specialty, wherein anytime an emergency surgery, some of our patient might suddenly start going into labor, or some of them might have had a ruptured ectopic. These are all life-threatening conditions. We have to leave everything and we just have to rush and go there. So having said that, all the professional, I mean, all the specialities are not so much demanding. There are certain specialities wherein they usually don't have that much emergencies surgery or whatever it is. But in my field, yes, suddenly we'll have to rush in all those things. But when we are still juniors, I don't think we have an option. So we'll not be in a position where we can plan our schedule, try to make more time for a family. At present, I am in a situation where I do can plan things, and I can plan things wherein I'll be free for my family also. But initial days, as soon as we finish our post graduation, it will not happen. At least 2 to 3 years after post graduation, we still have to keep running to do night duties, stuff like that. What I usually do is whenever I have to plan a delivery, usually since I go to multiple places, I used to do night duties in my medical college. So at present, since I'm an associate professor, I no longer have to do night duties. So there I don't have night duties, but my clinic patients or some patients where I see in the hospitals can go into delivery anytime. So preferably I will try to plan such deliveries or induction or something. Some few things we can do. We can still manage. I make it a point that I'm always there for my kids. I have two beautiful daughters. So one of them is 8 years. The other one is 6 years. They'll be turning 8 and 6 this August. So that is one thing I've always made particular. I will always be there for their important events, either their parents and teachers meeting, or if they have to attend a birthday party, or I have to take them to a park. So you can still try to manage things, and of course we definitely require help at home. And with this so much of schedule at stake from my professional front, I really can't cook or do household chores, which I accept I'm not doing at all. I have a cook and I have maid. We'll have to work out with multiple maids. There is no option. So that way, at least I'm happy that I can utilize the spare time that I'll have to spend the time in the kitchen. Slight minor adjustments we'll have to do. And of course, you'll have to have a very good supportive family. So in that, I'm really fortunate. And my husband is also equally understanding. So that is how we are just running the show at present. So even though we work sometimes 16 hours also, we will have to end up working because we cannot leave a patient in between and come back. But most of the times it is manageable. We go for vacations also. We'll have to just plan few things.
It's quite interesting to know about the schedule and how you balance your life. Talking about the fertility rates, since you are in that line, I have
Mm.
heard that fertility rate is dropping and the healthy rate is 2.1, but it
Yes.
has dropped to 2. And so eventually your population is going to get very low by 2100, and there are going to be a lot of old people and all that. What are your opinions and thoughts about it? Are you concerned that number of babies is reducing and it is going to have an effect?
See, the fertility rate decreasing is definitely that is what is happening. We are all seeing that happening, and there are multiple causes for the same. So the most important cause is the age at which the couples are planning to have the kids at present is completely different than what it used to be few decades ago. When our parents decided to have kids. I think they used to be in their 20s. Maximum is late 20s. Usually they used to be in early 20s. At present, most of my patients who come to me for the first time during their pregnancy are usually more than 28, early 30s. Good reproductive age will start from early 20s. And with each cycle, some number of the eggs are being used up, and the fertility, the ovarian reserve, we call it as ovarian reserve. So each woman is being born with a certain ovarian reserve, which is not going to increase with any number of medication. So that ovarian reserve has to be utilized throughout her reproductive age. So the later she plans to conceive, most of it is already, the good quality ones are used up. So that is most important point, the age factor, because obviously everybody is career oriented and they want to spend time with the partners. The age of marriage itself is changed. We are not blaming anybody, but that is one of the main reason. The second reason is the stress. I think it is really playing a major role here, and the kind of toxins or the kind of food that we eat and the kind of environmental toxins that we are exposed to is also quite different. All packaged food will have many preservatives and few harmful substances. There are many studies also which have proven all of this are finally adding up to decreased fertility, and it is true that nowadays it is decreasing, and it is also true that most of the studies are pointing towards even more further decline in infertility, especially in India. It is true.
That's pretty sad considering the fact that our population is getting old also.
More number of old age is a good sign of medical facility. Earlier, somebody who might have had a myocardial infection wouldn't have survived. So now they are surviving. So we do have more number of old age people, but that's also a positive index of our improving medical facilities also.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, there is something called this sandwich effect. For example, a
Yeah.
middle-aged person has to take care of, in our society setup in India, to take care of the children as well as the parents. The middle-aged population is reducing, is what I have heard. So it's like a hourglass. So you have the parents on one side for, a huge population of parent population, and then you have a huge children population also, and so the middle age population is reduced. They are facing the stress of handling both the parent population and the child population, is what I have seen from the population stats. That's something that we need to consider. Of course, I agree that the medical facilities improved a lot, and we are able to address many of the issues that we had been able to address in the past, which is great. One follow-up point on that is that these kind of facilities that we have in the urban areas, the emergency care, the several facilities that are available in the urban hospitals are not available in the rural hospitals. What do you think can be the solution for this?
Unfortunately, it is sad, but it is really true. So India being the most of the population lives in the rural area, and we do tell that the backbone of our country is the farmers, and all of them are living in rural area. But it is really true that the facilities or the specialized doctors are not ready to work in rural area. If you have to meet a specialist, especially a super specialist, so you will have to come down to major cities only. So most of the doctors are not ready to work in second tier city or the village areas in remote places. The reasons might be different for each of them. Most of the time it is the kind of lifestyle they will have to live there, and the education of the kids. That is what I do here. But it is sad and it is true also. So I think the government will have to come up with something more pay for the doctors who are ready to work in rural area. I think that should be done, because for example, a super specialist will be paid like almost double the amount that the government pays them in a government hospital compared to a corporate hospital. If they work in Bangalore, the pay is also a lot of differences there. So that pay, I think, should go up. Something should be there to compensate the kind of life or whatever it is. That is one thing. And the facilities in the hospital also should increase. So cardiologist, or for example, I do laparoscopic surgery. So most of the government hospitals will not have the laparoscopy setup itself. Nowadays, even I think even you should be knowing about, everybody would want to have a lesser scar surgery. So why should we deny our urban and the rural area population also with that? But we don't have facilities. All the government hospitals don't have facility for this high-end type of either surgeries or any treatment. So infrastructure should come, and the doctors should be encouraged by either increased salaries or increased educational institutions itself should come up. Insurance schemes like what the Western countries have, I think that also might help a bit. It might be difficult to implement in a vast country like us, but at least few steps towards that might improve.
Okay, it sounds like a job of the private sector to me than the
Mm.
government because it sounds like an entrepreneurship idea for me to have hospitals with the infrastructure and facilities and also high paying doctors. It sounds like, the private sector should be doing that because they have the means to have the infrastructure as well as to pay high salaries for the doctors, the ability to reach in case of need, provide a network of hospitals across rural areas. It's quite possible for the private sector
Yeah.
to jump in and do it.
Yes, actually, that is also some entrepreneur. That is a area to tap also if somebody wants to invest. There are many patients who are ready to pay even in rural areas. They are all well enough because there is no good facility hospital in their nearby vicinity. They do come to big tier cities. If something good is there in their own town, definitely they will go there. So that you really made a good point. So not only government hospitals, this private hospitals also can try and come up with this facility, and it will definitely be a game changer also, I think, if something like that happens. Right now, I don't know, for whatever reason, most of them are not interested in investing in smaller towns at present.
Okay, maybe it's the lack of exposure that people are ready to pay that is preventing them from showing interest. But I hope that that changes and things improve.
One more thing I wanted to add. Having said that, what my understanding is that somebody who is not able to pay also shouldn't be denied of such facilities. So that's the reason I told the government itself should increase the facilities in rural areas, especially because even though few paying patients are there, but vast majority of them really cannot afford such high prices. I myself, I always I've done my post graduation everything in a government hospital only, medical college, and I've done my internship in Tumkur District Hospital. So I personally, I do really like in treating rural area patients. So that's the reason, even though I have a busy practice inside Bangalore, I don't want to leave my job being a associate professor in our medical college, which is set up in rural area, which is catering to the rural population, because really they do require some good doctors, and they shouldn't be denied any because they don't have money. I don't think they should be denied a good treatment. That is what I feel. So government should, I think it should start dedicating extra GDP for medical facilities, slightly extra at least.
Right. But at the same time, we are observing that the insurance costs have gone up at least 2 to 3 times in the past few years. And added to that is the burden of 18% GST to the insurance, causing a huge problem for many people. I hope that these kind of policies will change. It will make it easier for people to access medical facilities, especially many of them are under the purview of insurance today. So insurance has to be regulated and the prices has to be coming down, as well as the GST has to be considered to be reduced.
Yes,
Is what I
yeah.
think.
That 18% GST on insurance, what you told is somebody should look into it, to be frank.
Cool. So let's move on and discuss a few topics that I'm very curious about. Now, you are involved with birth. Now, I wanted to ask this question from your experience of giving birth to children. What is your thought on life? What exactly is life? How is life entering the body, or is it different from the body, or is it inbuilt in the body? So when somebody dies, what happens to the life? How are we moving and doing a lot of activities, and suddenly one day we just lie down without any movement? So what is your medical explanation for this?
Okay. See, according to me, giving birth to a new life, I think that should be the most beautiful thing that somebody will be capable of. And that's the most very nice aspect of science and the nature, everything. So, see, technically it is just two cells coming together. But I think there is a lot of essence in that happening. And I don't know if bring God in this or whatever it is, because I'm not really a great believer in that also. I do believe, but not a strong believer. Some force of nature, I think, should be present to bring about a new life. So bring about a new life is the best thing. Especially I've seen kids being born, no? So we just feel so happy once they start crying and they sometimes they do open their eyes, and during C sections they will be so agile, they will start holding our instruments also. So all those experiences, so many experiences, we just cannot forget it. They do come in our dreams also. But if you ask me about how to explain death, so what happens to us suddenly one day we are gone, so I really feel that's the end of it, to be frank. I don't believe in after deaths or some soul that is going to lingering around, all those things. The cells will stop receiving oxygen and they'll stop working. That's it. That this is my understanding of death. Maybe I am very blunt, but this is my belief of death, to be frank.
Okay, that's fair enough. We can only explain what we can perceive and what we can experience.
Yeah.
If we perceive that something beyond that, somebody dies and you can see their soul or something, then probably you might be able to say that, yeah.
Most probably, yeah. See, even in our medical profession, we have heard about some patients telling, especially in ICUs, sometimes with very low oxygen levels also, they can have hallucinations or something like that. That is true. But some patients, they would have gone to a near death situation and come back. So they keep telling us some different things, like I saw somebody, all those things. We really don't know to believe that or not to believe that. But ultimately, death is where the cells stop working. That's it.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. More depth into microbiology related studies from now on to understand how the cells work and all the microorganisms work. Thank you for kindling my interest on that. Okay, we spoke a lot of things about your profession and work. Now let's get into the fun stuff. What are your hobbies and interests apart from work? What do you do?
My hobbies, I really like painting, drawing, sketching, painting, all of it. I like nature and I like being with nature. Learned classical music. I've given exams also in vocal and veena. So I do play veena. It is there in the attic, to be frank, in a nice glass showcase, but it comes down in during festivals and all, where I do play. So these are all my hobbies, and especially I like to, whenever I am just stressed out, so we just go on a vacation to some forest area. Especially our most favorite spot is this Kabini. We just go for safari, so we just go for some trekking. So I just love nature, so I made sure my kids also love nature. So they've already started doing that, and gardening, all these things I like.
Okay, I would like to hear your Veena recital sometime because I'm a Carnatic music person myself. Great. Let's move on and talk about some societal issues that you care about, apart from, of course, medical profession. That's already there. Are there anything else that frustrates you or you want to do something about in the society?
See, in the society, so one thing that comes to my mind is, see, being in this profession, like I've already told you, the lack of medical facility that you already brought up. So that is something that is always there in my mind also. So I have also myself worked in a rural area because, of course, my father also wanted us to work. My brother is also a doctor. Both of us, he made sure we at least serve for a few days, for a few years in a rural area, which I have done. So I know that there is a lacuna there. So that is one thing. And most important thing is the differentiation between the male and female is still very much evident in India. So this I can really relate to because I have two daughters. So as soon as I say I have two daughters, being a gynecologist, to ask me if I didn't wanted to find out the gender of my second child, why I chose to have two girls also. So some people have really asked that bluntly on my face. So this, whatever education has come, whatever it has done, this mentality is really not gone in Indian society. So that is one thing. I think it will take few more decades to change, maybe.
Right, you are right. You are absolutely right. There is still this kind of people who, think that male children are better. But to be frank with you, it's very difficult to find girls to get married to these days. I'm pretty sure that you know this, but there is a heavy
Yeah.
demand for girls
So
in
that
the.
is also one of the reason of this female infanticide. So over a period of time, this female infanticide would have occurred few years ago. So that's the reason the male and female ratio is altered now, and it is difficult to find. Yeah, that also might be one of the reasons. I'm
No,
just telling it from medical point of
that
view.
yeah, so that could be one reason, but girls are more interested in profession and career these days, the last thing that I want to think about is marriage. That is one of the reasons I have had a
Yeah,
few
yeah, that is true.
relatives who is having tough time finding a girl for their sons to get
That
married.
is
So
that yes, that is even more true in a medical profession nowadays. What happens is here usually the girls will always they would want to marry somebody who is a double graduate, like who has done a specialty or a super specialization, because they themselves would have finished their post graduation. So somebody who is unable to do a post graduation in the medical field, who has just finished his MBBS and is unable to do anything further, is really, it is a difficult task for him to find a doctor bride for himself, because I think girls want to marry somebody who is ahead of them usually. That is also still there.
wow, it's getting so
Yeah.
complex.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I can understand the difficulty in the fertility rate going down.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, nice. Nice
Okay.
relation. Yes.
So, thank you so much for sharing your views. And we are coming towards the end of the podcast. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, like I would like to know about yourself. Like, how did you come up with this idea? What do you really intend to do with this? What is your future plan? Anything like that?
So, I'm a software technologist by profession, and this is my hobby kind of thing. But I like talking to people, and I wanted to provide a platform for people to come and express themselves and their ideas and thoughts. So, that's how
Mm.
it came up. As you know, our common friend introduced me to you, and that's how
Mm.
you are in the show right now. She actually introduced to around 40 people, and most of them
Oh,
did the podcast with me. So,
okay, okay, okay. Nice.
so that's how it
Okay.
started, and it's going well. I want to keep the same format and move on with the same format in the future also. I don't want to change anything because I really enjoy doing this. One thing that
Yeah.
I want to do is find a sponsor for the podcast, which I am actively
Mm-hmm.
looking at. That's the
Mm.
only thing that's going to come by in the near future. Other than that, the format, the discussions, everything is going to be the same,
It would be the
and
same.
it is going to continue.
And let me tell you, the kind of questions, and it is like the easygoing. So I really have given a couple of podcasts somewhere else also. It usually used to be a very serious kind of discussions. But whereas even though you're bringing up serious issues, but you're taking the discussion in a very light way where the person is able to open up completely and freely. You have some magic in that, to be frank.
Okay, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
think so. I have heard this from a couple of other people also. Thank you so much for
Okay.
your encouragement. I wish you all the best in your life and whatever you are aspiring to do. Please take care and bye for now.
That was a great podcast with Dr. Anusha. Please subscribe to this channel and follow it for more awesome podcasts. Opinions expressed by the guests in this podcast are their own. The host or the sponsors of the podcast do not condone the opinions expressed by the guests or the actions arising out of those opinions. Any decisions or actions that the listeners might take as a result of listening to this podcast must be based on their own judgment and will be at their own risk. The podcast host or their sponsors will not be held responsible for the consequences of any actions and or decisions taken as a result of any content in this podcast.